I think that's a great way to put it. And let's take, for example, that Tanaka, the villain from Showdown in Little Tokyo.
Right.
He was part of all this.
Yeah.
When all that shit went down, he was one of the gangsters there.
Right.
So he fled to the States, and then he started his shit. I like to think this is the same universe.
Yeah.
And then this is the fallout and how widespread the ripples of this massive mob hit and arrest were taken.
Yeah. It's that same vein of like, oh, it's kind of like the outcast Yakuza who's like, I'm tired of the rules. I know that I can get away with more shit on my own in America than I have to live under in Japan. And he doesn't. And apparently he can just go into any diner or deli in New York City.
That was wild.
Wipe out, and we'll get to the scenes. But yeah, I mean, he's a great villain in it, too. Sato was a great villain.
There are so many performances in this movie that I thought were better than the script. Much better than the script. But let's talk about more things with this movie. When did it come out? September 22nd?
1989, yes, sir. So go ahead, Adam, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, it's some mixed reviews. And it's sitting at around a 50% on Rotten Tomato. Ebert was basically like, it was close to a really good movie. It wasn't.
I have to say that this is kind of maybe the first one that I felt in line with the review that Ebert had, too, with his criticism of it.
Yeah.
It looks like it looks like it's a great movie, but there's just something missing.
It really is.
Yeah.
And as I was watching, I was like, man, like I said earlier, the performances, Ridley Scott creating these amazing set pieces and the cinematography, the underscoring, it's all there. It's just like, what? And I think it's the character development Ebert touches on. I think, like you and I were talking about, why don't we get to see any conversation with him and his ex-wife? And there's so much time spent on him as a possibly dirty cop.
Right.
Like, what are we focusing on with Michael Douglas, if not his children? I don't know. I just had some. I would have liked to have known more about him. We got to know a lot about his Japanese partner is. Oh,
the partner is Masahiro. His character name, but Ken Takakura.
Ken Takakura is the partner's name.
Yes.
Great. Yeah. We got to learn more about him a little bit. We got to see more deeper into him.
Right.
Than I think we did to Michael Douglas.
Yeah, and like we didn't even need to get really deep. Like you said, if we would have spent maybe 5 minutes on does he take money, does he not take money, or you can leave it up to interpretation, but you don't need to carry it out so long with a trial with Stephen Root and whoever it was. I forgot who else, but
he was another character actor. That
it was
seen all over the place.
But and spend more time with the ex-wife and kind of get to know that lifestyle that he has. He seemed like a good dad.
He does seem like a good dad. He's racing for money.
Right.
You know, I just put this together. Is that how he's able to afford everything he races?
It seemed like there's this little underground bike club under the Brooklyn Bridge or somewhere over there that they just race. There's a lot of youngsters who they hold him in high regards. Mm-hmm. Nick seems to be usual there.
Notice the bikes. One was Harley Davidson.
Right.
One was a Kawasaki.
Yeah. Does that seem fair? I'm not a bike guy, but is that...
I think it depends on the race you're going for. I think the Kawasaki maybe in a straightaway.
Right.
I'm not a bike guy either, but like I know they're called crotch rockets for a reason.
Yeah.
Right? So like I would assume like on a straight...
He's going to get up to speed a lot faster than Harley is probably.
But maybe the Harley handles better?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Not a bike guy. And so we have this wonderful world created by Ridley Scott that's just missing a few of the key pieces. Michael Douglas is our lead detective here. And Michael Douglas, pretty major star right now. Yes. We're talking 89. He's done Fatal Attraction at this point, correct?
Correct.
What else did he have going on?
Romancing the Stone.
Oh, Romancing the Stone, incredible movie. Used to watch that quite a bit because I don't think it was R. I think it was PG, in fact, and... he was cool as hell in that movie, too.
He was. You had Wall Street, of course.
Oh.
You had...
and that he had gotten the Oscar for that, or a nomination for that?
I think a nomination.
Nomination for Gecko.
Yeah. You had War of the Roses, which I believe came out... It came out in 1989, and I think it came out the summer of 89 with Danny DeVito.
Yep.
And then, of course, like you mentioned, Fatal Attraction. Basic Instinct was just around the corner, too, in a couple of years.
Above and beyond. In terms of, like... actors of his time, that made him a true like superstar. And according to his IMDb, It was the movie he did before Black Rain. So he's coming off an Oscar nom, and he goes into this, and I get it. You know, let's mix it up. What else can I do? I've been this romantic lawyer guy with this crazy sociopathic woman chasing me,
Right.
and I've been this greedy investor who just steals the movie, and now I'm a badass cop.
And this was his first cop movie as a detective.
How about that?
Yeah, yeah.
Of course.
This movie had a lot of firsts, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, just starting with Michael Douglas, his first cop movie. And there was a lot of different options that they were looking at, too.
Really?
For
Let's talk about those.
For both Takakura and, Sato.
Okay.
And Michael Douglas. So there was Sean Connery was out there.
Ooh.
Kevin Costner.
Okay.
Arnold Schwarzenegger. These were just light options. They weren't really going after, but they had thrown the ideas around. Sato, they actually went for Jackie Chan first. But Jackie Chan said he didn't see the audience believing him as a bad guy or liking him as a bad guy.
Interesting.
Imagine how different this movie would have been with Jackie Chan.
Very different.
Yeah.
Okay, and were there any recognizable actors for Sato?
That was
Jackie Chan.
Jackie Chan, yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit about our number 2 here, Andy Garcia. He, at this point, had not done many major films. Now, he has done a few. His big break was The Untouchables, which I didn't realize like, that was his first major motion picture.
Yeah.
He had done a few things, but nothing to that extent. And then after that, he's kind of just on his way. The Untouchables, Stand and Deliver, both of these Oscar-nominated movies. And then he did a TV movie called Blood Money. Then he does Black Rain. And then he gets into The Godfather. And then he starts sort of getting a bit more of his superstardom.
Yeah. I was thinking too, are you happy, like if you're Andy Garcia or anybody who was in Godfather 3, are you like, shit, I just missed the boat on 1 and 2 and I got into 3?
I don't know, because the way 3 is looked upon now, I feel like with time it's becoming a bit more of like, it's not as good, of course, but it's a fine movie.
I think it's more of a cult status than anything right now.
Like,
and it's not a bad
if it wasn't the third Godfather, people would be like, that's a good mafia movie.
Right.
You know, but because it's the third Godfather, I feel like they're like, no, this is not what we,
right.
You know, it's not the opus of 2. So, those are our 2 leads. Anyone else we want to talk about in the cast, Marcus?
You have, like I said, you have Kate Upshaw, Willie from Temple of Doom. Mm-hmm. But again, like we talked about, her role is very minimal here. It's it's not needed.
The only reason I feel like it's there is to give him a translator.
Yeah. That, and to give almost some love interest to, like an American side.
Yeah.
Because I feel that this could have, and I'm kind of proud of him for doing it at least this way, and not just doing some geisha who falls in love with Michael Douglas, you know, and it's just some gaijin who goes across the sea and she falls in love with this American man. But yeah, it's pretty much an unneeded role. Apparently you work in a dance club in Osaka for however long, 15 years or however long she's been there. Apparently, the Yakuza just gives you all their secrets.
I mean, she was able to get... I guess she's just been around, and she's very aware and savvy, I suppose, is what we're supposed to take away by Michael's compliments to her. So that's the cast of characters. Now, we could talk a little bit about the director.
We can.
Because it's a pretty major director. And when I think back to directors we've done... Is this our most influential director to date? We've had Michael Bay might be up there in terms of just like money made, but like Ridley Scott, man.
Yeah, I think so.
That's
think
big.
Yeah.
What would you say is your favorite Ridley Scott movie?
Oh, Jesus. G.I. Jane? No, I'm just kidding. It's a fun movie. But I would have to say it would probably be Alien.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love Aliens too. As well, but it would probably have to be Alien. Now, there's other movies in this catalog of his that I probably have, if I was like, I want a fun time watching a movie, I'd pick a different movie, depending on how I was. there's just so much. I mean, yeah, American Gangster, Matchstick Men, Black Hawk Down, Hannibal Gladiator. Just
his big one for it's interesting. Like I'm looking at his IMDb right now. His really first big hit was Alien. He had done some other things, a lot of TV. He did a movie called The Duelist, which I'm sure like film people liked, but then it was like Alien, just boom.
Then the Tom Cruise classic Legend.
I mean, how about Blade Runner? That's his. And there's so much Blade Runner in this film.
There is, yeah.
Especially that warehouse scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, did he direct an Apple commercial in 1984?
Did he do the main one?
The Sledgehammer one?
Did he do that?
Yes.
Whoa. I saw that, but I didn't even put it together until right now.
Yes. Apple and Ridley Scott presented the most awaited event of 1984, the introduction of the Apple Macintosh personal computer to the world, with a concept directly influenced by George Orwell's 1984.
That is huge.
Scott offers a heroine who destroys the representative present, led by the Big Brother, in order to bring a future of all new perspectives. Wow.
If I could just have that under my belt.
That important, legendary...
Yeah.
Wow.
That is big, man.
So
I
maybe
didn't realize
I
that.
think at this point it is absolutely the most influential director.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Blade Runner, of course, is probably the biggest game changer in terms of like made him a legend.
Right.
Within, but then he's a director who really crushed the 70s and 80s, but like he didn't stop. His shit in the new decade, in the 90s and in 2000s, were just as big.
Oh yeah, everything was bankable with Ridley Scott.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. He's a producer on this as well, as was Michael Douglas became a producer on this. So that is sort of the background of the people. Marcus, do you have any personal memories with this movie? We talked about my main one is the movie poster, but did you remember watching this at all?
I do, and that's kind of why immediately when you said, "Well, do you want to pick a movie?" There was a couple that I had. I wanted to do. I was thinking about, and I mentioned to you, the original and the remake 310 to Yuma are one of my. I love both of those movies. Have you ever seen the original or the remake?
The 310 to Yuma?
Yeah.
I saw the new one.
Yeah, and it's great.
Oh.
But I think, when I mentioned Black Rain, you said, yeah, let's do that one. And that one definitely has the more nostalgia part to me as a kid, because this was when, again, my parents were together at this time, but my mom worked this job, data processing, very... that was her job, just data processing when computers were coming into play.
Oh yeah.
And so she would work these long hours at the Odessa County Courthouse, and my dad and I would have to fend for ourselves for dinner. And we're talking, a house on Melody Lane in Odessa, Texas, where smoking inside was allowed. And
boy, do they take advantage of that. In this
they
movie.
did. But TV dinners, me and my dad, Salem's, and just guys' night.
Oh.
And he had mentioned to me, hey, we're going to watch this movie. And this was, again, this is on video, too. So this wasn't in theaters, of course. But this is on video. And he's like, hey, I rented a movie. Let's watch it. And I remember being pretty scared, especially on the death of Charlie. Decapitation. Because that's just a badass scene.
And Sato is terrifying.
Yeah, he is.
To a kid. His mannerisms and, his weird faces he makes.
Yeah. Doesn't Sato look like a John Cusack in
that's
in
great.
Some light?
Yes.
Yeah, kept reminding me of that. But anyways, I just remember that's what I remember, and the scenes that I remember vividly were one with Charlie's death, and two at the winery, or the end scene, kind of the end act where they're at the winery or
the meeting place of all the oil boons.
But those were the two, and the shootout and everything, and him and Sato cutting off his pinky. But, those are the two, and those just, my dad, I remember him laughing and just really into it. He's not into movies either. The last time him and my mom went to go see a movie in the theaters, it was Platoon.
Wow.
And they still talk about that.
Wow.
They went to go see Platoon, but, it was just this fun thing where it was don't tell your mom kind of stuff that you got to watch this. And I remember my dad saying at one point, no tits in this thing.
And, it does seem like a movie,
doesn't it?
Where there would be tits.
Yeah, and there's not
just tits.
Yeah, but ever since then, like you said, you played, kind of that role, or you thought